boys. Here we go.
Welcome to the Graybar Sports Open Line.
Goldschmidt swings, and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Here we go.
Now, Matt Pauley on America's Sports Voice, King of OX.
All right, man, let's get going here.
Here we go. Let's go.
Indeed, here we go. It is time to get another week started. Welcome in. It's a Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley, taking you till 8 o'clock this evening. As always, if you'd like to join in, you can do so by calling, texting, tweeting, voice messaging. If you call or text, the phone number always the same, 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. If you tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. And if you are listening via the Odyssey app, you can just click the microphone button and you can leave a voice message for us as well. We've got a busy program coming up this evening. In about 10 minutes, we're going to be joined by Stu Durando. Now, when we first had the idea of bringing Stu on, the idea was to reflect upon his time at the Post-Dispatch and STL Today, and we certainly will do that. But he has already announced his next endeavor as well. So for those of you who don't know, Stu, who has done a great job covering Billikens athletics and Billikens basketball, he recently retired from the Post-Dispatch and STL Today, but he's not off the SLU beat totally, and we'll explain that coming up at about 6:20 later on this hour. We'll talk Chiefs football. Blair Kirchhoff, one of our favorite folks from Kansas City, will join us, and we'll get his thoughts on what was. It's one of those games yesterday for Kansas City. If you just look at the box score, not only should the Chiefs not have won, they should not have won by 10 points in San Francisco. Tough place to play. All because of the final line for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes threw for 154 yards, just 154 yards, no touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and they won by 10 in San Francisco. It's ridiculous. And the Chiefs are 6-0, so we'll talk with Blair Kirchhoff about that. And then coming up next hour, we'll talk baseball with Joe Sheehan of the Joe Sheehan Baseball Newsletter. We'll talk with him coming up. We'll go through some Cardinal stuff with him, but also go through the World Series. Want to open up the show, though, and we'll talk about this kind of, we'll weave it in and out as we go through the 2 hours. It's being reported by Katie Wu from The Athletic that the coaching staff changes are starting to happen for the Cardinals. Now, we'd already known about some small moves. Well, you know what? Hitting coach Turner Ward not returning, that's a big move, but some other pieces going to kind of change around, but we really didn't know what it was going to start to look like. Well, now what it might look like starting to come more into the picture, as Katie Wu of The Athletic reporting that former Cardinal John Jay is going to be rejoining the organization and working on the coaching staff. And if you haven't been following along, for the last 2 years, Jay was the first base coach for the Miami Marlins, working under Skip Schumacher. Schumacher did not he made the decision, he and the Marlins for that matter, made the decision that he would not be back for a third season after he exited the organization, basically let all of the coaches go. That included John Jay. There was a report out there that the Marlins might be interested in Jay sticking around with whoever their next manager would be, but that everybody was free to go seek employment elsewhere. And Jay is going to return to the Cardinals. What his role exactly is going to be, we don't know, but we can get a little bit of an idea because Willie McGee has reportedly resigned his position as an outfield coach on the Major League staff, and instead he is going to be reassigned where he's going to work as an advisor to the front office. What those duties really look like, we don't know. We might not really know until, say, like the winter meetings. That might be the next time we really get the opportunity to talk with both Oliver Marmol and John Mozeliak, and we can get it. Maybe we'll get an opportunity to get more details before then. Of course, Mo tends to show up on sports on a Sunday morning quite often as well, so Tom might get the answer from him before that point. But one way or another, the baseball winter meetings coming up in December would be a time that I'm sure much of this will be discussed on what the roles are going to look like and what the coaching staff is going to end up looking like, because they're still going to have to find a new hitting coach. Assistant hitting coach Brandon Allen is staying on the staff, but indications are that he's going to stay in that assistant hitting coach role, and that they're going to bring in a new hitting coach from the outside. There's a lot of people that are going to be coming into the organization. If you just look at the job postings for the St. Louis Cardinals, there are a ton of job postings right now when it comes to like baseball operations and analytics and data and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of job openings right now inside the organization, and that's connected to Chaim Bloom coming in and kind of redoing the way they do player development and a lot of other things. I think the Cardinals are following through with what they said they will do based off some of the job postings that are out there. But there's a good number of them here at the moment, and what it's going to look like and all the different people that are coming in the organization, we'll have to wait and see. I would be curious to know what leads to Willie McGee exiting the big league staff. And this is just me talking. This is zero inside information whatsoever. My first thought is he was ready to not go through the everyday grind. Being a major league coach, it's tough. It's a tough job. It is a lot of hours. It's first one in the door. It's last one out. For what Willie was doing, working with outfielders. I mean, that was intensive labor. He was out on the field 3 p.m. when it's 100 degrees outside. After that, he's doing flips with hit. He was always out, always working hard. Of all the coaches, and this isn't a shot at any coach, but man, anytime I saw Willie, he was moving. Like he was always going somewhere to do something. He was coming into the clubhouse to grab guys to get them come out and do work in the outfield. That dude is a grinder, and he's 65 years old. At some point, you got to say to yourself, man, I don't know about all this. So I don't know if that's the conversation he was having with himself and how much that led to it. I watched that guy work his you-know-what off on an everyday basis, and man, he was good at his job. He was really good at his job, and he was great at making outfielders better. And I hope as an assistant to the front office, maybe that might continue to include him continuing to work with outfielders on occasion, to coming down on the field. Maybe even that includes him going to some minor league sites and working with outfielders there, continuing to do some instruction at spring training. I'd be hopeful that happens. I don't know if that's going to happen. He was named a special assistant to the front office, not a special assistant to the managerial office or anything like that. So we don't know what those details are going to look like, but he certainly is an asset to the organization. And even if he's not on the full-time major league coaching staff, I'm hopeful that he's still going to be able to have influence on the major league team, because he was really good at what he has done and has made a lot of outfielders a whole lot better. All right, we are going to take a break, and when we return, Stu Durando is going to join us. Recently moving on from the Post-Dispatch, but not moving on from covering SLU basketball. We'll talk with Stu coming up in just a moment on a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX.
Nobody wants a surprise in their jelly donut. It's toothpaste? That's because the middle is the most important part. At Gray Bar, we're at the middle of electrical and datacom jobs across the country, connecting installers, facility managers, and business owners with smart solutions for their most challenging projects, which means stocking and delivering crucial products on time and on budget with no surprises, thanks to our nationwide logistics network. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
There's breaking news all day long from around the world, and sometimes all that noise makes it hard to hear about what's happening right here at home. With the free Odyssey app, getting your local news plus breaking news is easy. And even when you're not near a radio, stay connected with what's going on right here by listening live and push alerts. Just download the free Odyssey app and search and follow your local news station, and you're good to go. The local breaking news to get you through your day at your fingertips on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. Tune
Tune into the Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Mosby Building Arts, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX for expert advice on remodeling, design, and construction. This live Q&A show begins at 11 a.m. or find podcasts at mosbybuildingarts.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-837-5050. That's 800-837-5050. 800-837-5050.
Wow, honey, have you seen the electric bill?
Yeah, it's out of control. But have you heard of Navien tankless water heaters?
Tankless? How does that even work?
Well, instead of constantly heating and storing water, it only heats water when we need it. So much more efficient than our giant tank heater.
That sounds great. Let's look into Navien.
Already on it.
Imagine all the hot water you need only when you need it. Bulky tanks are history. Navien high-efficiency tankless is the future. Compact, wall-hung units free up floor space, lower energy bills, longer life than tanks, and a 15-year warranty. Find out more at tanklessmadesimple.com.
She learned the value of hard work and responsibility at her family's small business at an early age. Ann Wagner took those same hard-working Missouri values to Washington. She's made it her job to keep the radical left from harming your job. Today, in the midst of Joe Biden's out-of-control inflation, Ann Wagner protects us by working to lower costs for families. As a mother of 3, she understands the work and has done it to keep your home and community safe. That's why Ann Wagner fought to secure our border and stop traffickers from smuggling fentanyl and illegal immigrants into our communities, and why she gave law enforcement the tools they need to defend us. And Ann Wagner took a stand against the defund the police radicals who will leave us in harm's way. She'll always back our brave law enforcement officers, putting conservative values to work for us. Ann Wagner for Congress. Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Broadcasting from the Underline Tree Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Bernie Nicholas gets the final word during Sports on a Sunday morning. This Sunday at 11:45 on KMOX.
It's Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Last week, we learned that Stu Durando was going to be calling it a career at the Post-Dispatch and STL today, and we really wanted to get him on to talk about that and reflect upon his time with the Post-Dispatch, where he did a lot of things, and we will still do that. But before we even get the chance to talk to him, he's already announced his next endeavor, so we get to talk about that as well. We do welcome Stu Durando onto the program. Stu, it's great to talk to you as always. How are you?
I'm great, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm sure you have done a fair amount of reflecting. You were at the Post-Dispatch and STL today for a long time. You covered a whole lot of different things. How tough is it for you putting that into the rearview mirror?
I haven't had a lot of time to think of it. Now that I kind of ponder that, because it kind of came on so quickly. It was kind of a quick situation that occurred with layoffs and then a buyout offer and a decision to do that in fairly quick order. So I kind of had to make a quick evaluation of things, and probably wouldn't have decided to do it if I didn't think I could keep myself busy covering some St. Louis University stuff that I've been so immersed in. And so when I gave it some thought and came up with a way maybe that I could keep contributing in that area, I decided to go ahead and do it. But I had to kind of make a decision in less than a week. So it was kind of a rapid fire thing.
You're so connected to SLU now, but you probably don't remember me. But I remember the first time I came in contact with you. I was a kid working for the Stats Online, which at that point was the prep sports section of the Post-Dispatch. But we were kind of on our own little island, and every once in a while I'd be covering a game, and you'd be covering that game as well. I mean, you go back to your prep sports, and then everything else that you've touched on during your time. It was what a career and what a legacy you leave of covering so many things and touching so many different things.
No, that's nice of you to say so. Yeah, those prep days, that was another century. Mm-hmm. When I started in 96 and was running the prep section at the Post-Dispatch, But those are good times. I always liked doing preps back then, and it's just kind of the nuts and bolts of stuff you learn on the way up. I mean, I was already in my mid-30s by that point, but that was kind of the launching point for me at the Post-Dispatch into the various college beats that I've covered and a lot of the professional sports that I was allowed to participate in helping to cover as well.
Is there a moment that stands out over any other moment of a game or an event that you were able to cover during your time?
Oh, probably the Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl in 2000. I was down in Atlanta for the week with about 25 people from the Post-Dispatch. Back in the day when we used to send a lot of people on the road to cover things, photographers and designers and editors and writers, and just getting to cover that game was probably one of the most lasting highlights of my career.
All right, so let's get to what you're moving on to. You've created a Substack. It is the Stew on SLU, which is a fantastic name, by the way. So congratulations on that.
Hopefully it'll just stick in people's minds.
Yeah, Stew on SLU. I like it. StewOnSLU.substack.com is where people can go. So for folks who have been so accustomed to reading your coverage of the Billikens with the Post-Dispatch and STL Today, they now have the opportunity to do that here on the Substack.
Yeah, and it's a way, that was my first thought when I was deciding whether or not to step away. And, it's kind of a step that a lot of writers have taken who have either lost jobs or, left newspapers, decided to do other things. And so I just started, I didn't know a lot about it. Honestly, I'd heard about it, but I hadn't delved into it much. So I've been trying to do that, and I'm still learning it. But it's a way to basically control everything I write as much as I want. Try to edit myself a little bit and make sure I'm not getting too many mistakes in there. But it's really a point where I can do more than I've done in the past on SLU because, in the paper, things are limited. And now I can write every day if I want. I can write twice a day if there's things to write. There's just an unlimited amount of space there, obviously, online. And my time is wide open, so I have plenty of time to put into it.
There's an opportunity to go, and you allude to this, so much more in depth than you're able to do when you are limited by word count. Is that something that you're looking forward to? Just the whether it's stories of individuals or really diving into something that happens in a game, trying to be able to go that much more in depth than you were previously able to?
Yeah, especially with profiles on athletes, coaches, or whatever it might be. There are always restrictions in terms of length. Not too horrible, but this gives the opportunity where if there's really a great story that can be told in a much longer format, that I don't have to worry about restricting myself and putting a limit on words, as you say. And in other areas, I think it'll just be a little bit more relaxed. Maybe loose and fun writing, maybe a little more analytical than I might have done in the past in the paper where I was just reporting on games or whatnot. So I think it just opens the door for some flexibility in the way I write.
The pivot comes at a good time because this is an incredibly compelling SLU basketball team, the story of a new coach, the story of those players coming in, the NIL stuff that's been going on with the athletic department where they've been punching above their weight in that area. With all due respect to the athletic department, to the basketball program, compared to where they're at right now, a year ago, this was kind of a boring program, and they're anything but boring right now. So it feels like there's more interesting, exciting things to be able to write about.
Yeah, it's certainly a preseason of great intrigue, and I think the interest is obviously, I think, a lot higher than it was maybe a year or so ago when, things weren't looking real good, even in the preseason. And, there's so much unknown with this team, but the coach in Josh Shirt is someone who has gained a lot of national recognition with what he did at Indiana State, and then bringing in two players from that team who got a lot of recognition for what they accomplished. And he's just kind of put together some other pieces that are really kind of fascinating as we watch them I watch them in practice on many days. It's, you try and envision what you might see on the court in a game. We got our first look on Friday night in an exhibition game. Impossible to judge really much from that because Avila didn't play. But you can just see that there's so many guys that have the potential to do things that could be really impressive. And you just wonder what it's going to look like, say, a month into the season.
In that game the other night, they're down at halftime, and then they turn it on in the second half, putting up 56 second half points in that second half. What'd they shoot? They shot 60 something percent, 64%.
Maybe.
Yeah, 64%. So, and like you said, Avila wasn't even in there. Now Rockhurst isn't a D1 program, but that being said, they certainly did show some flashes of what they could be, especially in that second half.
Yeah, it was kind of a typical exhibition game, or was pretty messy for a while. Rockhurst actually kind of took it to them in the first half. They were more physical, and I think kind of took the Billikens by surprise a little bit. And, they're going out there for their first game. They're trying to adjust to not knowing what they're going to see. And they did a fine job coming out in the second half, kind of, forcing the tempo, forcing the way they wanted to play on Rockhurst, and kind of blew them out. But, yeah, it was very messy at times, some poor shooting, and then the second half just flipped and everything went almost perfectly right for SLU.
We know the names like Gibson Jimerson and Isaiah Swope and the expectation of what those guys are going to be. But the guy who led the team in scoring was Amari McCautry, and he's a freshman out of the Milwaukee area, and somebody that this is the first time his name has probably been uttered on this show, and he certainly showed something shooting 5 of 7. Again, you don't take too much away from an exhibition, but it's interesting to watch one of those young guys be the guy who really came through in the exhibition.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who you're just not sure where he's going to play into the rotation, but showed great potential. Schertz has said several times that he feels that McCautry and another freshman, all of a sudden Max Picard, maybe the two most talented players on the team, but maybe not ready to really contribute yet. Well, McCautry's trying to prove that he is ready to contribute. He's he's a 6'6" guard, but he looks like he's a senior. He's a freshman, true freshman, and he's just big and strong. He can get in the lane, draw fouls, and create things. He's had a turnover problem in practice some, and so he's just working through some things that freshmen work through. But that was a pretty impressive first showing.
The website is stewonslu.substack.com. What's the take folks through, like what it takes to view your content and just everything that's going to be on there?
Well, you just go to exactly what you said. It's pretty, I don't know if it's a basic website, but it's like having your own web page, but it's a little simpler than that. It's not all the bells and whistles of a normal web page, but for writers to post content. There's also platform for videos and for podcasts, and I'm going to try and expand into some other areas once I get comfortable posting stuff on there. I'm still trying to figure out a lot of stuff that goes on, so I want to make it look decent, and I'm just going to continue to try and put stuff up. I don't know if it'll be on a daily basis, but it'll be quite regular. It's not just going to be men's basketball. It'll be women's basketball. I'm going to stick with the two soccer teams as they finish up their seasons, and maybe try and get to the NCAA tournament and some other things, other intriguing stories that come up along the way. I'm always open to people letting me know if they feel there's any intriguing, interesting stories that people might want to hear about over at SLU, and they're welcome to email me or contact me on Substack.
Stu Durando now available on Substack. Again, stewonslu.substack.com. Stu, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck with the Substack, and I'm sure we'll ask you on here every once in a while moving forward.
That'd be great. I appreciate it, Matt.
All right. Very good. Stu Durando joining us on the program. We are going to take a break, and when we return, back-to-back interviews, we're going to be joined by Blair Kirchhoff. What a remarkable win for the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday when you consider everything that went down. We'll explain that and get Blair's thoughts on it. That's in just a moment. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or biglou.com.
Did you know that St. Louis Composting has an array of STA-certified compost, soil, and mulch products that are available by the bag or by the truckload? It's the healthy, all-natural, cold-weather dyed for your garden and lawn. For more information, visit stlcompost.com.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. The director of Siteman Cancer Center, Dr. Tim Eberlein.
When they have a comprehensive cancer center. And of course, Siteman is the only comprehensive cancer center and only NCI designated center in the entire state of Missouri, and in fact, in this region.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. Before you tour a home, the real estate professional you're working with may ask you to sign a buyer's agreement, which describes the services you'll receive, each party's role and responsibilities, and how your agent will be compensated, all of which you'll want to discuss with them up front. So work with an agent who's a realtor. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors with a duty to honestly represent you and put your interests above their own, because that's who we are.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius or two half geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-924-7415. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-924-7415, 800-924-7415, 800-924-7415.
Natural disasters happen every year. Fires, hurricanes, tornadoes. And with that, your most important moments recorded on VHS, camcorder tapes, and 8mm could all be gone in an instant. Cherished moments like your wedding, baby's first steps, family trips to Yellowstone, lost. Enter Legacy Box. Digitizing your old media with Legacy Box protects your irreplaceable memories from the threat of natural disaster by digitally preserving them onto thumb drive, DVD, or the cloud, so they're safe forever. Legacy Box is the safest and easiest way to preserve your past, which is why it's been trusted by over 1 million families. Send Legacy Box your home movies, photos, and film. Their team of trained professionals will do the rest right here in the U.S. For a limited time, Legacy Box is offering radio listeners an incredible 50% off. Go to legacybox.com/value and save 50% when you digitize your memories. That's legacybox.com/value.
Okay, boys, here we go. When they take the field. Take the field.
Let's have some fun.
We take you to the game.
They don't like us. We don't like them.
Thursday night, it's the Vikings and Rams. And you can hear the game here. Segment Cancer Center game time, 7 p.m. on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Back at it. It's a Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. Of course, we are St. Louis's home for Chiefs football. And what an odd victory for the Chiefs yesterday. Odd in just the sense of the box score. I think anybody who would have seen a box score that includes Patrick Mahomes throwing for just 154 yards, not throwing a single touchdown, yet throwing 2 interceptions and playing on the road in San Francisco. I think most people are thinking, all right, Kansas City's getting handed their first loss of the year. Nope. Not only did they win, they won by 10, 28-18. To talk about that and all things Chiefs football, happy to welcome on a sports writer with the Kansas City Star. He is Blair Kirchhoff. You follow him on Twitter at Blair Kirchhoff. Blair, thanks for coming back on the program. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great. In addition, he had Mahomes the lowest passer rating game of his career. So in the regular season, so a lot of things seemingly working against the Chiefs on Sunday.
Yeah, and look, he did it on the ground a little bit, running for 39 yards and running for a touchdown. Obviously, the defense did a nice job as well. But I'm not trying to be arrogant on behalf of the Kansas City Chiefs, but it almost feels like a lot of things can go wrong for them, and they're still finding ways to win.
No, that's a good description. It's true. Injuries are piling up. Mahomes not playing the way we're used to seeing him play, at least in the passing game. But they're doing some things really well. Their defense overall has been excellent. I'd stack it up with any defense in the NFL right now. The running game has been exceptional in the last few weeks. They rushed for 186 yards on Sunday, and Kareem Hunt has been a kind of a revelation in his second term with the Chiefs. So they're doing things to kind of winning a little bit of old school way. Somebody likened it to the Marty Schottenheimer era of Chiefs games where they won a lot of games, won some division titles, but could never win a playoff game. Well, the Chiefs are playing a lot like they did last year when Mahomes did not have a great passing season, but they ended up winning all the playoff games. So it's been interesting to see this team in something of a transition.
Do you feel like defenses are selling out against the pass, allowing the Chiefs to run the ball, or is it more a case that the Chiefs don't really have a great receiving group right now? They didn't in the first place, and some guys are banged up. Which one of those two things, if one of those two things, is leading to this style of offense that they're going with right now?
Yeah, I'd say it's more the latter. I just don't think they have the horses at wide receiver, and they certainly don't have the players that they had and planned to have going into the season. You make the off-season move to bring in Hollywood Brown, and then Rashee Rice is coming off a really solid rookie season, and then you draft Xavier Worthy with your first-round pick, the speedster from Texas, and you can see what the Chiefs were trying to do there. They're obviously trying to regain something of the form that they had in the Tyreek Hill days, where they had great speed at the position, and then give Mahomes multiple weapons. Well, Hollywood Brown is injured on the first play of the preseason, and he's out for the year. And Rashee Rice gets in, a few games, and then he bangs his knee on Mahomes' helmet trying to make a tackle after a Mahomes interception, and looks like he's out for the year. And so now they're down to Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson, McCole Hardman. And then in the first, the first series against the 49ers, Smith-Schuster aggravates a hamstring injury, and he's lost for the rest of the game, and we know at least one more week. So it is a new cast or a different cast than what the Chiefs were planning on having going into the season. They also weren't planning on having Kareem Hunt, and he's played really well. And they are operating behind an offensive line, especially the interior guys, Creed Humphrey in the middle, and Trey Smith and Joe Thuney, who are probably having collectively the best year of their careers.
We've already seen two top-tier receivers get traded. Amari Cooper goes to Buffalo, makes an immediate impact. Devontae Adams goes to the Jets, does not make an immediate impact. I know up against the cap, things like that, it's not going to be easy, but do you see the Chiefs making a move to bring in a receiver who can help out this offense?
They could. It's possible. And they have done that in each of the last 2 years. They brought in McCole Hardman, a Chief who they had they didn't retain, signed with the Jets, but the Chiefs traded back to get him after week 6 a year ago. And then 2 years ago, they traded for Kadarius Toney, brought him in. So each of the last 2 years, the Chiefs have done that. Now, with the Chiefs offense, if they go outside to bring in a wide receiver, it's going to take a while for that player to get up to speed. And as you mentioned, the big names are off the market. Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams. Not that the Chiefs were ever going to afford either one of those what they have left on the salary cap. But a second line wide receiver is a possibility. But I think the more likely scenario, at least in the immediate future, like this week, I just suspect they'll call somebody up from the practice squad, a player like Justin Ross, who has taken snaps with the Chiefs in regular season last year, and then a wide receiver named Nico Remigio, who's been sort of a fan favorite at training camp and is played well in the preseason, but hasn't been able to work his way up to the 53-man roster in the 2 years he's been with the Chiefs. So, the trade deadline's not until early November, so there's still a couple of weeks for that to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if this week they didn't add somebody from the practice squad.
Couple more moments with Blair Kirkhoff from the Kansas City Star talking Chiefs football. With Andy Reid overseeing the offense and then defense coordinator Steve Spagnuolo running that defense, is there a better kind of two-headed monster in the NFL right now when it comes to figureheads of an offense and a defense on one single team?
No, there really isn't. And then Andy Reid's, his bona fides are well established, right? Steve Spagnuolo is, every season it just keeps getting better and better, and everybody, everybody in St. Louis knows what kind of person he is. Was his time there with the Rams, and of course his years with the New York Giants. We got to hear Tom Brady talking about it on the broadcast yesterday. How effective the Spagnuolo defense was in the Super Bowl against them. So he really is a master, and you get all the players. I don't know where else this happens, but to a man, the Chiefs, the defensive personnel just sings his praises. So, I hope for his sake, he wants to become a head coach again, and I hope he gets that opportunity after this year. He already has 4 Super Bowl rings, more than any other coordinator in NFL history. I don't know what else he has to prove here in Kansas City. Could get a 5th ring. I mean, that's entirely possible. But the defense that he puts together and coordinates is just, like I said, it was great last year, and I think it's a tick better this time.
You never look over anybody in the NFL. Any team can beat any team any given Sunday. We know all the cliches. That being said, really, if the Chiefs do what they're supposed to do, their next challenge would probably come up, with all due respect to the Raiders, Buccaneers, and Broncos. And Buccaneers and Broncos are having nice seasons, but that November 17th game against the Bills is probably the one that people are already circling. Certainly the folks in Buffalo are circling that one. Is that the next kind of litmus test type game for this team?
It is. I mean, now they'll tell you inside the office is that the last time the Chiefs lost a game was to the Las Vegas Raiders in Arrowhead on Christmas Day last year. They've won 12 in a row since, but they were a big favorite that day and ended up getting beat. Now, Aiden O'Connell, who was the quarterback for the Raiders that day, is out with a broken thumb, and Gardner Minshew is the quarterback. I don't see the Chiefs having a problem. They're a 9.5-point favorite on Sunday. I think they take care of business. I'll be interested in watching the Bucs tonight against the Ravens, because the Bucs can be a talented team, but yeah, for all intent, and then the Broncos, they might end up being the second best team in the AFC West this year. But that game in Buffalo will be a great game. Buffalo has owned the Chiefs during the regular season as much as the Chiefs have owned the Bills during the playoffs. So that'll be one hot ticket in Week 10 with the Bills and the Chiefs.
Blair Kirchhoff writes about Kansas City sports for the Kansas City Star. We love being able to talk with him. He's on Twitter at Blair Kirchhoff. Blair, thanks so much for the time. Enjoy watching Monday Night Football tonight, and we'll catch up again real soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Take care.
You bet. Very good. That's Blair Kirchhoff joining us on the program, and we appreciate him spending some time with us today. All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we're going to jump back into the Cardinals. If you want to text in real quick, we don't have a ton of time for this in our next segment. Might have time for some phone calls next hour, but if you want to text in your thoughts on John Jay in Willie McGee reassigned in the organization to a front office role, you can text in or tweet in for that matter. If you text in, it's 314-436-7900. 314-436-7900 is how you text in, or tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Are you sad about Willie McGee not being part of the Major League staff anymore? Are you excited about somebody like John Jay rejoining the organization, and a guy who comes from now the Skip Schumacher tree, if that is such a thing? People talk all the time about Skip. Everybody wants Skip to take over in St. Louis. Well, you don't get Skip, but you get one of his coaches. And what are your thoughts on the news of the day when it comes to the Cardinals coaching? We'll discuss that coming up in just a moment or so. This is Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Right now, 38 states allow for sports betting, including 7 of Missouri's neighboring states. Amendment 2 gives Missouri sports fans the freedom to bet on games too, and that will generate over $100 million for our schools without raising property taxes. Amendment 2 is endorsed by the Chiefs, Cardinals, Royals, Blues, and Missouri's 2 professional soccer teams, the KC Current and St. Louis City. These days, Republicans and Democrats don't agree on much, but the Republican and Democratic candidates for governor are both supporting Amendment 2 because it means more money for education. Amendment 2 isn't like the lottery. There's a strong constitutional guarantee. The new money from sports betting will go to our schools. $100 million for education without raising property taxes. Amendment 2 is endorsed by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the Kansas City Star. Vote yes on 2. Paid for by Winning for Missouri Education. Mike Pridmore, Treasurer.
Don't miss A Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond musical, coming to the fabulous spots for 2 weeks only, October 29th through November 10th. It's the uplifting true story of how a kid from Brooklyn became a chart-busting American rock icon. This incredible Broadway hit musical features Neil Diamond classics like America, Forever in Blue Jeans, and Sweet Caroline. And KMOX has your chance to win tickets to see the show. Just register now at KMOX.com/contests.
I see clearly now, thanks to the doctors, Birdie, Malhotra, Brusati, Royer, and Barry. You can too. Go to youridoc.com.
Who you choose to sell your St. Louis area home matters, especially in this ever-changing market. We all know a few realtors, but I only recommend one. This is Debbie Monterey, and for the past several years, I've gotten to know Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's different, guaranteeing to sell your home at your agreed-to price, or Gloria will buy it herself. When selling your home, you want the most money and the least hassle, and that's exactly what you get with Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. For example, after 6 months, 2 separate agents failed to sell the Wheeler family's home. With no more time to waste, they decided to call Gloria Liu. Within a few days, Gloria was able to get them multiple offers and sold their home at nearly 99% of listing price because Gloria already had the buyers. The agent you choose to sell your home really matters. 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. Indoor air quality is so important, especially in the fall and winter months. Comfort Solutions Heating and Cooling has UV air scrubbers and whole house air purifiers. These solutions can eliminate invisible airborne particles, whether they're allergens and pollen, pet dander. The air purifiers can disinfect the air by destroying bacteria and viruses. They also can eliminate odors. Call Comfort Solutions Heating and Cooling to improve your air quality today. And don't forget about the $89 maintenance special. ComfortSolutionsSTL.com.
We know you're uncertain about psychics. Is this fortune teller you found on a forum legit?
Your one true love is...
me! That's why California psychics reject 98% of the psychics who apply to work with us. We guarantee if your rating isn't life-changing, it's free. New customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. So experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Ken Newbold at Newbold Toyota and Newbold BMW. I am so confident that my team will take care of every one of your service and sales needs. I'll give you my cell phone, 618-791-5470. Newbold Toyota or newboldtoyota.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from thegelmanteam.com. If you want immediate cash for your home or to see what your home is actually worth in today's market, find out for free from the local experts. That's my friends Mark and Neil Gelman at thegelmanteam.com.
Genesis of St. Charles is knocking it out of the park with the biggest inventory around. In fact, selection at Genesis of St. Charles is the best they've ever had. So head to their state-of-the-art facility and see for yourself and take advantage of 0% financing through the end of October. See dealer for details. Stop in today at Genesis of St. Charles, a quarter mile east of Mid-Rivers Mall Drive off 70, or online at genesisofstcharles.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Couple minutes left here in hour number one of the program. In hour number two, we'll talk college football. Big weekend for both Missouri and Illinois. They both get wins, but the bigness of the weekend came in very different ways from a storyline standpoint. Also, we're going to talk with Joe Sheehan. We'll talk all things baseball playoffs with him. Joe Sheehan, of course, part of the proprietor of the Joe Sheehan baseball newsletter. Wanted to mention just very quickly what it might mean for the Cardinals with the staff adjustment. And you're going to hear a roundtable starting at 8:00 tonight with Bernie Miklasz, Kevin Wheeler, Tom Ackerman, and myself. And one of the things that we talked about, and when we did the roundtable, we did not know about the John Jay hiring, but one of the Cardinals issues potentially right now in bringing people in is people don't know what it's going to look like a year from now. Now, I think there's value in having Chaim Bloom already in place as the president of baseball operations. So if you're coming into a front office role, you know what it's going to look like moving forward. You know that you're going to spend 1 year with John Mozeliak as your ultimate boss, and then Chaim's going to be your boss after that. But if you're going to bring in coaches for the major league staff, you don't know if Ali's going to be, we don't know really the relationship and the dynamic between Chaim Bloom and Oliver Marmol. We don't know if Chaim's going to want to bring in his own guy a year from now. So filling out coaching positions, especially from the outside, I think might be a little bit more challenging than people would think. So I think it's great that the Cardinals bring in John Jay. He's somebody who is a great baseball mind. He's somebody that has been working on a major league staff for Skip Schumacher. And I'm excited about what he's going to be able to bring. Again, I'm bummed out. I said this earlier, bummed out that Willie McGee's not going to be part of the everyday coaching staff, but very happy that Willie is going to remain in the organization and hopefully continuing to do a lot of things. We'll continue that conversation in a moment here on KMOX.
Honey, is our car still under warranty?
No, not anymore.
My sister just got an extended service plan from Ox Car Care.
Ox Car Care?
Yeah, Ox will cover our repair bills if anything happens to our car, new brakes, a transmission, AC, or engine problems. Plus, Ox Car Care offers free oil changes, tire rotation, and roadside assistance.
Wait a minute, we pay nothing on the repairs? Ox gets it fixed for us? Free oil changes, free tire rotation, and free roadside assistance? What's the number?
800-221-6319. Ox has a 30-day money-back guarantee and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. They handle their claims from start to finish, unlike other warranty companies. We should call now. 800-221-6319.
The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill. I'm calling Ox Car Care now.
Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-221-6319. Ask about senior and military discounts. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox Car Care, 800-221-6319, or go to oxcarcare.com.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Schedule an appointment with one of our Missouri or Illinois attorneys. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood Parkway, Suite 310, Town & Country, Missouri, 63017. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only. CordellCordell.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
In Missouri, farming isn't just a profession, it's a purpose. You can feel it in our 27 million acres of farmland. You can see it in the nearly 41,000 Missourians who work in agriculture. You can hear it at our farmers markets. You can count it in the $93.7 billion it brings our state. And you can taste it at your family's dinner table. A lot of farmers in our state rely on Bayer's tools and inventions because Bayer has a purpose too. To help farmers thrive. Learn more at go.bayer.com/purpose. Paid for by Bayer.
KMOX KECK HD2 St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis. This is KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. With just over 2 weeks until Election Day, former President Donald Trump ramps up the verbal attacks on the campaign trail in North Carolina.
Our country is being crippled and destroyed by Kamala Harris. Kamala. How the hell did that ever happen? How did that ever happen?
Vice President Harris has been stumping in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney again joined Harris. CBS's Weijia Zhang.
Her campaign says the election will be made or broken, not just in these three states, but in particular in the suburbs, which is why these moderated conversations are happening with the former Congresswoman who spoke about the reason why she cannot support Donald Trump, the reason why she is supporting Vice President Harris.
The Biden administration is investigating an unauthorized release of classified documents that assess Israel's plans to attack Iran. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
The president continues to have complete confidence in the agencies, right? Whether it's DOD, IC, or DOJ. This is being looked into, investigation being done by the appropriate parties.
As Israel and Hezbollah trade missile strikes, Israel accuses Iran of sending suitcases of cash and gold to the Iranian embassy in Beirut before it then goes directly to Hezbollah. Without providing evidence, military spokesman Daniel Hagari says Israeli intelligence has discovered in Beirut a bunker belonging to former Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah.
Hezbollah built this bunker directly underneath this hospital. There are hundreds of millions of dollars in cash and gold inside the bunker right now.
Multiple agencies are investigating last night's helicopter crash in Houston that killed 4 people on board when it slammed into a radio tower. CBS's Jason Allen in Houston.
The owner of the tower had issued a notice to pilots within just the last week that some of the warning lights on the tower may be inoperable. The owner, though, told CBS News that was something standard that it did when taking over operation of a new property. It didn't give specifics about whether the lights were on or off.
A new study shows that those with younger onset type 2 diabetes have a much greater risk of dying. CBS's Matt Piper.
The study, published in the Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology, also found that adults with later onset TD2 have a 1.5-fold risk of death. They also identified that a lower age at diagnosis was associated with a higher risk of incident diabetes-related complications like poor blood sugar control. The study followed 4,500 people, 25 to 65 years old, and over a 30-year period.
This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 7:03, we have clear skies, 71 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Maria Aquino. Our top story this hour. Fort Leonard Wood is asking for assistance locating a missing soldier assigned to the 5th Engineer Battalion. Sergeant Sarah Roque is Hispanic, 23 years old, with black hair, 5'2", 145 pounds. Her last known whereabouts were around Fort Leonard Wood. However, her chain of command and family have not been able to contact her. Sergeant Roque did not report for formation this morning. Anyone with information is asked to call the Fort Leonard Wood Police. We have a picture of Sergeant Roque, also the telephone numbers to call at KMOX.com. Solutions to the homelessness are being discussed by community leaders.
Samantha Stengel with House Everyone STL is a part of the Housing First STL Summit. She says leaders and business owners from St. Louis City and 7 other surrounding counties on both sides of the river are converging here on Washington University to tackle solutions to homelessness.
The population we're serving, we can do this, but we can't do it unless we're all rowing in the same direction. And so the goal is to walk out of here today with some very easy strategies of how we can start doing that. Today being kind of the first step towards a multi-year prolonged approach.
Stengel says this is the first time East West Gateway Council of Governments has hosted such a summit where all government leaders unanimously voted to have it. At WashU School of Medicine, Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
On November 5th, voters in De Pere will decide whether to ban the sale of recreational marijuana.
Since this issue was raised, De Pere Mayor Mark Becker attended every public meeting.
I did, and I listened to the residents, and there was a pretty a sizable group that just had some issues with marijuana in general. Now, this particular proposal or measure would not ban medical marijuana, only recreational marijuana.
What sort of financial impact would that have?
According to the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, Missouri dispensaries on average generate between $100,000 and $120,000 in sales tax revenue for their municipalities each year. Approximately 70% of that revenue is attributed to recreational sales.
Tom Ackerman, KMOX News.
And at 7:05, let's get a check of the forecast with Dave Murray.
Warm temperatures across St. Louis as we head into the evening. Warm at least for the middle to end of October. Partly cloudy skies this evening and overnight. Evening temperatures taking a drop out of the 70s, really only into the upper 60s and 52 for the low. On Tuesday, still a chance of a couple of spotty little showers or sprinkles around Tuesday morning. Otherwise, partly sunny skies. Gets a little windy, especially during the afternoon on Tuesday. Still warm, though, 81 degrees. Tuesday night, clear skies, 58. Wednesday, sunny and 78. Thursday, sunny, 74. Another shot of a couple of showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. A slightly better shot Thursday night. But even then, it does not look like much in the way of moisture. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
It is down to 65 in St. Peters. We're at 71 in Florissant and downtown at the Arch at 71 degrees. I'm Maria Aquino, KMOX News.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
We do roll on as we get into our second hour. Coming up in just a few minutes, we are going to be joined by Joe Sheehan of the Joe Sheehan Baseball Newsletter. We'll get his thoughts on the World Series, Yankees and Dodgers, and it's not going to start till Friday. We've got it's very weird looking up at the TV monitors here in the studio and not seeing any baseball. Got some 911 Lone Star action going on and some Monday Night Football action going on, but No baseball, which is sad. And here in about 2.5, 3 weeks, depending on how long the World Series goes, it's just going to be no baseball for a while. Although this year there is a benefit to that because it feels the John Jay story notwithstanding, it feels like the major storylines, narratives, talking points for the Cardinals, we've pressed the pause button. Like we can't really advance that story right now until stuff starts to happen. And again, something like today with John Jay might trickle out. The Cardinals, I don't think, will make an announcement on that until I guess they've got a few days leading up to the World Series. So if the Cardinals want to make an announcement, but I would also think that the standalone announcement on John Jay is probably not what they'd want to do. They'd want to announce the entire coaching staff. And unless they've got this whole all locked in, and the Katie Wu report only had one part of it, and Katie's awesome, and she's generally pretty locked in on what's going on, I would suspect that we're not actually going to get confirmation about John Jay until after the World Series, because once we get into the World Series, generally announcements are not made. Major League Baseball just doesn't want that. Occasionally you'll get something on on an off day of the World Series, but in a perfect world, from Major League Baseball's perspective, you hold off on announcements of all teams until after the World Series does come to an end. Throughout the thing earlier where I was asking folks what they thought about John Jay joining the coaching staff, got a text message from the 636 said, I always felt like that John Jay was the last Cardinals leadoff hitter who knew how to do what he was trying to do. Hope he can bring that to the organization. I'll be curious to know what his role is going to be, what his responsibilities are going to be, because a number of coaches from the staff last year are expected back. And again, this goes to mostly Katie's reporting in The Athletic, and you should subscribe to The Athletic if you have the financial means to do so, because it's awesome. But bench coach Daniel Descalso, pitching coach Dusty Blake, first base coach Stubby Clapp, third base coach Pop Warner, assistant hitting coach Brandon Allen are among the coaches that are expected back next season. Talked earlier, Willie McGee is going to move on from the full-time coaching staff, instead serving as an advisor to the organization. I am hopeful because I look at Willie's skill set being that he is so good working with outfielders. I hope that whether it's coming in at 3:00 in the afternoon sometimes and working with guys, or going to various minor league sites and working with some guys on occasion, or being at spring training, working with guys. I hope that Willie is not done from a coaching standpoint. When you're an advisor to the organization, that doesn't always mean that there's on-field coaching aspects to your job, but that doesn't mean that there can't be. And I just hope that Willie is continuing to do that in some form or fashion with the organization moving forward. So for Jay, obviously played outfield. He can coach outfield. So I think that's going to be part of his responsibilities. Very good base running coach as well. I would think that that's going to be part of what he works on. I would suspect that he is not coaching first base. He was a base coach in Miami. No indications right now that they are looking to change any of the other responsibilities. And with first base coach Stubby Clapp and third base coach Pop Warner all set to return, unless they want to take somebody like Stubby and put some, he's a busy guy. He is a really, really busy guy. He does a lot of the scouting reports where he's working on defensive positioning, and he puts together kind of the cards that the players use on an everyday basis. That is a lot of work for him. So maybe there's a scenario where he moves more into a dugout role and not so much in first base coach. And does John Jay go do that or something else? I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Just don't really know anything about anything, but throwing out the different things that could play out. From a Cardinal standpoint, probably the number one talking point storyline here over the last day has been what we saw with Tommy Edman winning the NLCS MVP. And first and foremost, congratulations to him. Like that's really cool. He had an amazing series and he's had a fantastic playoff run. But I get pretty frustrated about some of the things that I've read, because and in no way, shape, or form am I trying to denigrate Tommy Edman. I think Tommy's a really good ball player, and I like his ability to play all over the place. I like the way he plays the game. Like he is a winning ball player, and I like him a lot. But what has frustrated me a little bit is all of a sudden this overwhelming narrative, whether it's on social media or anywhere else, that the Cardinals got fleeced in the Tommy Edman trade because he won the NLCS MVP. I think at the end of the day, and we'll have to wait and see. I don't know for sure what Eric Fetty's going to do for the Cardinals next year, but Edman is still a very split-heavy player. Somebody who, when you look at the right-lefty splits, you know what he's going to do against lefties, but you also know what he might not do against righties, and that played out. And the numbers that he had with the Dodgers after getting there were very similar to his career numbers. It wasn't like he was all of a sudden the superstar. He had a really good NLCS. He had an incredible run, and he's been very good in the playoffs as well. And Dave Roberts has utilized him in a really good way when they, recognizing, putting him in the cleanup spot, especially against the left-hander like Minaya yesterday. All those things. So I'm legitimately happy for Tommy Edman, but I'm frustrated with the fan reaction that it was a bad trade. And that's what, there are so many people out there that anytime they get an opportunity to take a shot at the decisions that the Cardinals have made, that they're going to do it. And I guess that's just kind of the world that we live in right now. But when that trade was made, even people who hate John Mozeliak were sitting here saying, okay, all right, I'll give it up to him on this one. This was a good deal. You gave up Tommy Edman, who his role on the team wasn't really clearly defined. You already had Brendan Donovan, who kind of does a lot of the same stuff that Tommy Edman does. There wasn't that clear role for him on the team, and they needed starting pitching. And they also needed a guy who could hit lefties, and they got that. And then they fell out of contention, and Tommy Pham went away. That's still kind of the weird thing about that whole move. But even if it's just straight up Edman for Fetty, you got a guy who is should be a top level starting pitcher for you, who is going to be your number 2 starter behind Sonny Gray, and who you had club control on at a really, really reasonable number. You had that. I know that Fetty's numbers weren't great after the trade. You don't have to remind me of that. I know what they were, but he started to kind of find his way after eventually, after the trade. He did not perform the way he would have liked to immediately after. And with all due respect to Tommy Edman, a number 2 starting pitcher is more valuable than kind of a utility kind of guy who is really a platoon type player. And that's what Tommy Edman is. And it sounds like I'm denigrating Edman. It sounds like I'm putting him down. I'm not. Like that's a great role for him, and he can be a winning ball player. And you put him. That's one of the things that sometimes frustrates me about the Cardinals. Bluntly, they don't always put the players in the position to succeed. When we talk about other organizations, when we talk about the Tampa Bay Rays, and we talk about the Milwaukee Brewers, and we just talk about these teams that seemingly get the most out of their players. Sometimes it's making the players the best version of themselves by instruction, by tweaking the swing, by using a certain pitch more, or getting rid of a certain pitch. But sometimes it's just putting guys in the right position to succeed. And the Cardinals don't always do that, and they can be better at that. And I think something that the Dodgers have done is they've put Tommy Edman into a position to succeed. And I would, even with Tommy Edman being named the NLCS MVP, if you asked me tomorrow, would I trade Tommy Edman straight up for Eric Fetty? The answer is going to be yes, 100 times out of 100. And 99% of the people agreed with that statement when that trade was made. And then Tommy Edman wins the NLCS MVP, and what happens? Oh, you see it on social media. These same people who probably liked the trade when it happened, they make the decision to, really denigrate the trade and put John Mozeliak down. I liked it. I thought the trade was a good trade, and I will stand by that to this moment. 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. Tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air. Up next, we'll talk with Joe Sheehan from the Joe Sheehan Baseball Newsletter. We'll get his thoughts on this World Series that is upcoming. That's next. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
It's a night to be entertained and inspired. The Musial Awards return to Stiefel Theater Saturday, November 23rd. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event hosted right here in St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the show celebrates the year's greatest moments of sportsmanship and those who embody class and character. Experience the extraordinary moments and people that make the Musial Awards an event like no other. The Musial Awards, presented by Maryville University. Saturday, November 23rd. Tickets at musialawards.com.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
There's breaking news all day long from around the world, and sometimes all that noise makes it hard to hear about what's happening right here at home. With the free Odyssey app, getting your local news plus breaking news is easy. And even when you're not near a radio, stay connected with what's going on right here by listening live and push alerts. Just download the free Odyssey app and search and follow your local news station, and you're good to go. The local breaking news to get you through your day at your fingertips on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a truck accident, you need the best. Onder Law. Let us make your case our cause. Truck accident? Call Onder Law for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
We all know how important nutrition is to our health, and now is the time to do something about it. With Neoviten Women's Multivitamin, you can give your body sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to support your daily health. Created by a St. Louis physician, Neoviten Women's Multivitamin is formulated with our proprietary blend for daily support you won't find anywhere else. Best of all, you can get Neoviten Women's Multivitamin delivered right to your door with our convenient monthly subscription. Go to neoviten.com and sign up for a subscription today.
There are nearly 70 million people that are currently using Medicare and taking Social Security. When you retire, you could be one of them. The question is, have you figured out how best to use these programs? That's where Steve All and the All Financial Group can help. Join Steve and his team on October 23rd at the All Financial Group office, where Steve will discuss Social Security. And special guest and Medicare consultant Scott Stream will present on Medicare. This event is complimentary, but you must qualify to attend. Call 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Scott Stream and Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC are not affiliated.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-727-9105. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-727-9105. 800-727-9105. 800-727-9105.
No fights, just insights. Talking politics with respect for all. KMOX, your connection to St. Louis and the region.
It's Great Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX, taking you until 8 o'clock this evening. My name is Matt Pauley. We're very happy to be able to welcome back onto the program. He is Joe Sheehan, of course, not just part of, the Joe Sheehan Baseball Newsletter, which is 20% off right now. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. Follow him on Twitter at Joe_Sheehan. Joe, appreciate you taking some time with us today. How are you?
It's 8 o'clock on the first night without baseball in playoff baseball in 15, 16 days. So I'm just kind of walking around my apartment. I don't know what I'm doing with myself.
Well, I'm glad we can at least talk a little bit of baseball with you to get you out of whatever funk that you're in here at the moment without baseball. And you're going to have this for a few days. I understand the business of baseball on TV and the business of sports on TV, and you got to lock in the World Series dates and everything. So it's not that I'm angry about it, but it's kind of a bummer that we got to go the 5 straight days without baseball.
And they did make an effort this year. Had both series finished by Saturday. Basically, if the Dodgers had beaten the Mets last week, they would have started the series Tuesday night. They actually did build in to avoid the really long rest. It just happened that it took the Dodgers 6 games to eliminate the Mets. We will probably see this continue to happen. They'll have basically a schedule and then a contingent schedule so that you don't end up with that full week off. And we'll see what happens. If people get annoyed about that, I have a friend of mine who, when I told him this, he was like, wait, so people don't know when the first game of the World Series is? I said, well, they know it's 1 of 2 days. And it's not like the Super Bowl where a whole bunch of people come from out of town to go to it. Like if you suddenly decide the Super Bowl was going to be on Wednesday, you'd probably have a problem. I don't think this is a negative for too many fans.
Other than just not being able to watch baseball on any given night. The cynics will sit here and say, oh, it's the Yankees and the Dodgers. It's the 2 big market teams. It's the 2 big money teams. That's the way Major League Baseball wanted it. Do you have any response to that?
Why were they so bad at doing this last year when it was the Diamondbacks and Rangers, or the year it was the Cubs and the then Indians, or the year that it was Kansas City and the Giants? I mean, if MLB was rigging it actually does rig the playoffs, they do a really poor job of rigging the playoffs. The Yankees haven't been in the World Series in 15 years. We haven't had a Yankees-Dodgers series in 43. So I'm going to stop short of profanity here and just say these people should shut up.
And for me, I look at these teams, especially when it came to the Final Four. Yeah, 3 of those 4 teams had large payrolls, but they were also teams that did things very smart, that make good decisions, that could get good infrastructure and have lots of smart baseball people in the organization. Money's a part of it, but as we learned with the Mets last year, money doesn't buy you wins. You got to make good decisions with that money.
No, I think the Mets are a great example of a team that has done so much great player development over the last decade. You go back to their last trip to the World Series, and you had that Matt Harvey, Jacob deGrom, Steven Matz, Noah Syndergaard was traded for as a prospect. All of those players were homegrown. You look at this team. Mark Vientos was their best hitter. He's homegrown. You look at Francisco Alvarez. Didn't have a great series, but had a couple of big hits yesterday. You look at Brandon Nimmo. All of these teams, and this is the way it has to work now. You have to build that player development core. You need that group of 5, 6 players who are going to give you 15 to 20 wins above replacement and only make $12 million between them. And all of these teams have had that. I mean, yes, I'm not saying these teams don't have high payrolls. I'm saying that in modern baseball, it's not about that high payroll. It's about player development and the core. And of course, the Guardians are an example of a team that doesn't have a high payroll but does have that core. These conversations we're having, Matt, are just very 15 years old. It's like we started having them when Bud Selig was commissioner and trying to turn baseball into a heaven for small markets. And we haven't stopped having them, even though we have massive amounts of revenue sharing now. We have massive amounts of national revenue. All of the rule changes over the last 15 years at the industry level have gone towards leveling the playing field. But I don't think the conversation has caught up to that.
I would agree with that. I would also hope that the Cardinals fans, which is almost everybody listening to this right now, heard what you just said, because the Cardinals have let it go a little bit from a player development standpoint. They're trying to rebuild that now with Heim Bloom. And to your point, if you are not graduating impact players from your minor league system, you do things like sign Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn as Band-Aids. And if everything doesn't go right, you end up missing the playoffs. And almost no matter what, you're not an overly compelling team.
There's a great example, because what the Cardinals used to do is, if you even forget stars, they were really good at bringing along fairly low-profile prospects who would suddenly show up and be 1 to 3 win players for no money. I think of John Jay as my classic example here. But all the various second basemen they went through, Clapp and Hart and guys like that, or you think about what Tommy Edman gave them a couple of years, in a few years before the trade. Like, these weren't guys who were top 10 prospects. These weren't guys who were drafted high. Remember, the Cardinals don't draft high because the Cardinals are never really bad. It's not like they have a top 5 pick. Even the Dodgers, even the Yankees, even the Red Sox have had these top 5, top 10 picks over the last 30 years. Cardinals really haven't had them. So they're doing all of this without the benefit of not just the high draft pick itself, but the additional money you get to sign players through the godforsaken system that MLB has now in the draft. So if you stop developing those players, you've got obviously a front of roster problem and you have a back of roster problem. And, I think we saw it collapse last year. Everything kind of went wrong in 2023. This year's team basically played to expectations. I think I had them at 85 and 77, maybe 86, and they fell a little bit short of that. And they're going to make a lot of changes now. I mean, I'm a big fan of Heim Bloom, so I think they're on the right track here. But it's not a one-year thing, and you have to be willing to do the 2 to 3 year rebuild. Where Heim got undercut in Boston. You go back to, we're going to hire you to reshape the entire organization, and then 2.5 years in, they fire him. It's like, well, no, if you're going to say this is a rebuild, you have to commit to the rebuild. You can't get mad because you didn't make the playoffs 2 straight years.
We're talking with Joe Sheehan from the Joe Sheehan Baseball Newsletter. I think it's interesting when you look at the 2 managers that are still alive in the baseball playoffs, because some Dodgers fans have been calling for Roberts to go away. They've won just one World Series in the COVID year. They've underperformed at times. A lot of Yankees fans wanted to see them move on from Boone multiple times over the last few years. Each organization sticks with their guy, and now they're playing against each other in the World Series.
Yeah, playoff baseball is such a different animal from regular season baseball now, more so than it's been previously in baseball history, when you only had 1 round or 2 rounds. Now you have 3 rounds, sometimes 4, and there's a stress level that builds up. There's a workload thing that builds up. You see teams putting 4 or 5 guys on their roster that barely played for them the entire season, and it takes a while to get those reps to get better at it. And Roberts is, for me, my favorite example of this. Roberts was someone who would make the big mistake in the playoffs for a long time. And if you look at the team even the decisions he's made this year, he simply hasn't done that. He hasn't made the Dodgers more likely to lose a game. I do think to some extent getting the DH in the National League has helped him. Again, it gets him out of some of those sticky decisions about whether to leave a pitcher in or when to go to a reliever, because you're taking the pitcher batting element away from it. So I think he was certainly helped by that. But Roberts' strength has always been 10 p.m. to 7 p.m., by which I mean everything that isn't the stuff we see. The personnel management. He's got a lot of Dusty Baker in him. He's got a lot of Joe Torre in him, which is just, he keeps things calm internally. And if the trade-off is he's not Earl Weaver in the dugout, I think it's been worth it for the Dodgers.
Some of these moves, I mean, there's a lot of talk in St. Louis today about Tommy Edman because he's the NLCS MVP. They take the opportunity to put him in the cleanup spot to try to get him a couple at bats against the lefty Manaea. They've done some other things with Edman since he got there. It feels like the Dodgers, whether it's Roberts making the decision to bat him 4th or whether it's the organization just looking at who he is and how to make him the best version of himself, the Dodgers have done some things with Edman to really help him out.
Yeah, good managers are always looking at what a player can do and not what a player can't do. Edman played good defense at a few positions, a much better hitter, obviously, from the right side. He can run the bases. That was a good trade. I think the Cardinals did well in that trade as well. I think Fetty's going to help them to help them down the stretch. He'll help them next year. Edman had not played an inning for the team. He had the wrist injury from hell. So I kind of understand them trying to get something a little more certainty. Plus, the Cardinals have a whole bunch of these mid-league players on the roster. You look at Brendan Donovan's being squeezed out of a spot. Mason Wynn taking over at shortstop kind of edged Edman out of the job he might have had. So there were a lot of reasons why I think trading Edman made sense for the Cardinals. But it's what can this player do for us? The Cardinals, historically, have actually been pretty good at this. Tony La Russa, for all his flaws, was very good at saying, how can this player help me win? I do think Ollie Marmol has some of that. I am encouraged that he's going to get another year here. I think there were some positives this year, and we'll see how that turns out with, can he manage a roster that's certainly going to be in transition? But that's a key. And the other thing to look at here is, managing is just so much more about pitching now than it is about hitting. Teams just don't have very many offensive options. Benches are short. They're generally weak. They have a backup catcher on there, a backup infielder. Managers aren't making tactical decisions offensively the way they did for 100 years of baseball history. All it is now is bullpen management. Rogers has been better at that. Boone has been very good at that since the start. And I think that'll be an interesting subplot to this series. Both guys, good bullpen managers, maybe Warrant early in their playoff career, probably not likely to make the big mistake.
Tell our listeners about the Joe Sheehan Baseball newsletter and the deal that you've got going on right now.
Yeah, it's 14 years old now. I was with Prospectus for 13 years and started doing the newsletter in 2010. And I'm as surprised as anybody I've gotten to do it for this long. But we've got thousands of subscribers. If you enjoy reading about baseball, definitely have a stat head perspective. But I love the game. I think that comes through. You can check it out, joesheehan.com. I don't actually have a link to the discount on the chat page. You got to go to Twitter, Joe_Sheehan. 20% off through the start of the World Series. I guarantee you will get your money's worth. Nobody has ever complained to me that they hadn't gotten their money's worth. Some people say I write too much. That's certainly a problem, especially this time of year. But people who get the newsletter seem to love it. You also get access. If you're frustrated with what Twitter has become, there's a Slack workspace attached to the newsletter where subscribers can go and just talk ball. And honestly, it's been going for 7 years now, and people absolutely love it. A lot of KMOX listeners are on there as well. So check that out, joesheehan.com, Twitter, Joe_Sheehan for the discount. And I hope you sign up and join us in the Slack to talk about the World Series.
And Sheehan is spelled Sheehan, just in case anybody can't figure that out. So Joe_Sheehan. Joe, we always appreciate you being so gracious with your time, and look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thanks, Matt. Take care.
Awesome. Very good. That's Joe Sheehan joining us on the program. Again, you can get 20% off his baseball newsletter on the link on Twitter, and his Twitter handle is at Joe_Sheehan. We're going to switch gears. We'll talk some college football. Interesting weekend, really interesting weekend when it comes to Missouri and Illinois. They both win, but the storyline between the two teams, very different. We'll discuss that next. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
You know what makes every diamond unique and special are his 4 C's. It's cut, clarity, color, and carat weight. But do you know what makes Diamonds Direct special and unique? It's our own 4 C's. The first C, concept. Diamonds Direct has revolutionized jewelry shopping by eliminating middleman markups and giving you direct access to the world's finest diamonds straight from the diamond cutters. The second C, choice. Diamonds Direct's multi-million-dollar selection of precious diamonds is unparalleled. And with over 4,000 designer settings to choose from, you are empowered to make a decision that works for your style and taste. Third C, confidence. With a nationwide price guarantee, a free lifetime warranty, our unique 110% diamond upgrade policy, and our no pressure, no risk environment, you have total peace of mind. And the fourth C, community. Every year we partner with local charities and nonprofits with significant donations of time, money, and jewelry to make this a better place for everyone. Diamonds Direct, as unique, as special, and as rare as every diamond in our showcase. Proud to call the Lou home. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Celebrate the spooky season with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of these huge savings. Spell it forward, spell it backwards, always spelled the same, Zero Res.
Broadcasting from the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX. California Psychics is the real deal. They helped me out, totally changed my attitude, totally got me psyched to start my business and to take a new path in my life.
At California Psychics, we only connect our customers with the best. We reject 98% of the psychics who apply to us, so we guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. New customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. So experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
Moments like hearing my cat purr good morning mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib. Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or biglou.com.
Bernie Nicholas joins the Chris and Amy Show, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11:35 on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
It's a Great Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley, taking you till 8 o'clock, although you might be rid of me from a live perspective at 8 o'clock. But from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, it's going to be Tom Ackerman, Kevin Wheeler, Bernie Miklasz, and myself for another KMOX Sports Roundtable. We've been doing these on Mondays lately. We might even start doing them more often than not. It's a video show. It's a streaming video show that we do at 12 noon so far on Mondays. Again, that might expand out. It's posted and streamed live to the various KMOX Sports social media channels. So whether it's Twitter or YouTube, I think Instagram, Facebook, all those places, you can watch it live. You can also go back and rewatch it whenever you would like to. But we also have the audio only portion of that. And it's going to be coming up tonight from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So hopefully you will join us for that program. Again, Tom Ackerman, Kevin Wheeler, Bernie Miklasz, and myself for 1 hour. We talk baseball, we talk college football, we talk a little pro football in there as well. So it's all going to be coming up, and you'll hear that beginning after the 8 o'clock news right here on KMOX. Interesting, good weekend of college football locally, as we saw both Missouri and Illinois come up with wins. And the storylines for the two wins and what they really mean to me are very different. In fact, for Missouri, they drop in the rankings with their victory, which is a little bit different. You don't always see that, but Auburn certainly stuck around for a while. Missouri dropped 2 spots, number 21 in the AP poll. They dropped 1 spot to number 17 in the coaches poll. Here's what we are always going to remember this game for. I was telling my wife this. I was explaining what happened and just how remarkable it was. Brady Cook gets injured. He goes to the hospital. The game is going on, and this man is at the hospital. And eventually it gets to the point where he realizes he's got 2.5 home games left in his Missouri career. And you can say all you want about Brady Cook. He has not put together the best season this year. But the one thing that you can never question, never, ever, ever question, this dude loves Mizzou. Man, does this guy love the University of Missouri. Man, does he love being a part of the Missouri football program. He leaves the hospital, gets back to the stadium, gets back into the game, and leads them on a winning drive late in the contest for them to find a way to come up with the win on Saturday against Auburn. I mean, this is just 21-17 was the final score. Just one that's movie stuff. That doesn't happen in real life. The clock doesn't stop moving. Like, there's only so much time. You go to a hospital, that's going to take a little bit of time. Even if you are an athlete and you've got the express lane into the hospital where you don't have to wait for anything, it still takes time. We know about the traffic around the stadium as a football game is going on. Are you kidding me? Like, it takes time to leave and to get back and for doctors to look at you and for you to be cleared and to get out of there, and you get back. I don't know if this was even answered. Was he still wearing like full football uniform at the hospital? Did he change out of uniform and put it back on? Like, it's such a good story. I love stories like this. And then for him to do what he did at the end of the game. Should have Missouri played a game where they beat Auburn at home by 4, where they were down, where they had to outscore Auburn 15-0 in the fourth quarter to win? Like, clearly, no. They're better than that. And that was not from a take a step back and view the entire game. That was not a good performance by Mizzou. But the story is absolutely fantastic, and it was really cool. It was so cool to see that happen. And you're following along on social media as the game is going on, and there was reports on social media that Brady Cook had been taken into the locker room to get his ankle taped. That was what was being reported by various, and then he's not coming. How much tape does he need? Because it's been like an hour and this guy isn't back out yet. And then he does get back. So that was fun. That was really fun. I said this going into the game that this was kind of, I use the term litmus test game sometimes. And this was going to be that for Missouri, that this was going to be the weekend where maybe we learn who they really are. I'm wrong. It isn't that weekend. You can look at every single game on their schedule and it feels like it doesn't completely tell the story yet of who they are or where this season is going to end up. And there's only 5 games left in the season. You know, those first 2 games where against Murray State and Buffalo, and they won in one-sided fashion, that didn't tell us anything. And then they didn't play that great against Boston College or Vanderbilt. They win those games. At the moment, Vanderbilt didn't look as good as they actually look now. Maybe that game is the game that you look at as being something. And then Texas A&M, you just get blown out, just get destroyed, and you feel like, well, they're a top 25 team. That's not really who they are. And then they play another PUD team in UMass, and they win by a bunch. So you felt like this was the weekend. This is what we talked about on this show leading up to this game, that, okay, finally this game against Auburn, this is going to be the game where they've got the opportunity to go out and really show who they are. And that doesn't happen. They win. They find a way to win. There's still red flags that are going up. They're dropping in the rankings after the win, but Brady Cook goes to the hospital, comes back, and leads them on a drive like it's a movie, not real life. All right, so that's Missouri. Then you have Illinois. I didn't think Illinois was going to win that game. I didn't. I was hoping they would win. I'm glad they won. They beat Michigan. I did not think that they were going to find a way to win that game. And maybe I'm relying too much on Michigan's name and not their actual talent, because Michigan doesn't have a quarterback, and Illinois very much does have a quarterback in Altmaier, and he's been really, really good this year. But this game wasn't especially close. 21-7, Illinois rolls. And what's going to be interesting now when it comes to Illinois, because Missouri and Illinois could both end up, I think, with 2 losses. Missouri could win out outside of the game against Alabama coming up, and Illinois could win out except for the game against Oregon. If Missouri wins out, their resume, even as a 2-loss SEC team, it's okay. When the College Football Playoff Committee are evaluating those final spots, which will be taken by 2-loss teams, what will Missouri really have? What win is going to really show out for them. And Oklahoma and South Carolina still each coming up. Those are tough teams, but neither in the top 25 right now. Arkansas is not going to be an easy game. They should be able to take care of Mississippi State. Mississippi State's terrible. But Mississippi State has given some teams some challenges lately. They just haven't won. When you look at Illinois, not that they have these great wins. They don't. They went to overtime against a Nebraska team that was ranked number 22 at the time. They beat a Kansas team that was ranked 19th at the time, but we all know now that the Kansas is terrible this year like they normally are. So what are they going to have? If they lose to Oregon, their 2 losses will be against 2 likely college football playoff participants in the number 1 team in the nation in Oregon and a Penn State team that is really, they're putting together one heck of a season, as Penn State is currently undefeated at 6-0, and they're up to number 3 in the national rankings. Illinois is going to have the better resume than Missouri if they can win out. And again, no guarantee that they are going to win out here. There's still some games that are not going to be super easy for Illinois between now and the end of the season. But if they lose to Oregon and then can find ways to beat Minnesota and Michigan State at home and Rutgers and Northwestern on the road, and of those 4 games, the Rutgers game on the road is probably the biggest challenge. They should beat Northwestern on the road. Northwestern isn't very good. They should beat Minnesota and Michigan State at home if they play the way they've been playing recently. You're talking about an Illinois team with 2 losses, and their only losses are to, right now, top 3 teams in the nation that'll be in the college football playoff. I'm not saying Illinois is a college football playoff team. I don't think they are. I think that number 20 national ranking is appropriate for them at this point. I think Missouri has more talent than Illinois. I think Missouri might be the better team than Illinois, but Illinois is definitely en route to putting together a better resume on the overall season. Again, that's if Missouri and Illinois each finish out the year with 2 losses. All right, one more break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up our baseball conversation for the day and then get you ready for our KMOX Sports Roundtable. That's all coming up. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line here on KMOX.
When you're hiring for your business, ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology makes finding qualified candidates for your job easy. This made us wonder, what if the rest of the world was as easy as ZipRecruiter? Math problems wouldn't be so problematic.
K equals 42.
Escape rooms? Elementary. And summiting Everest would be a walk in the park. In the meantime, if you want to make your hiring easier, use ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Simple. So, see what the world is like when ZipRecruiter does the hard work of hiring for you. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Touchdown! Kansas City! Can't make it to Kansas City for the big game? No problem. Experience every Kansas City Chiefs game, like you're in the front row at Valley Sports Live in Ballpark Village. Join fellow Chief fans on game day and feel the roar of the crowd right here in St. Louis for the Chiefs. Chiefs Watch Parties, presented by Jim Beam. Don't miss a moment of the action. Head to KMOX.com/events to reserve your table now and cheer the Chiefs to victory.
I see clearly now, thanks to the doctors, Birdie, Malhotra, Brusati, Royer, and Barry. You can too. Go to youridoc.com.
Don't you deserve healthcare you can count on? Well, you can count on United Healthcare with Medicare plans that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. You can enjoy reliable coverage and low out-of-pocket costs with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans. Made for Missouri, trusted everywhere. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today.
She learned the value of hard work and responsibility at her family's small business at an early age. Ann Wagner took those same hard-working Missouri values to Washington. She's made it her job to keep the radical left from harming your job. Today, in the midst of Joe Biden's out-of-control inflation, Ann Wagner protects us by working to lower costs for families. As a mother of 3, she understands the work and has done it to keep your home and community safe. That's why Ann Wagner fought to secure our border and stop traffickers from smuggling fentanyl and illegal immigrants into our communities, and why she gave law enforcement the tools they need to defend us. And Ann Wagner took a stand against the defund the police radicals who will leave us in harm's way. She'll always back our brave law enforcement officers, putting conservative values to work for us. Ann Wagner for Congress. Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a car wreck, you need the best. Let us make your case our cause. Car accident? Call Onder Law for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. My friends Mark and Neil Gelman. Check out the only agents that I trust at thegelmanteam.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Starting to wrap things up, just a few minutes left in the program. Coming up, though, after the 8 o'clock news, you are going to hear a KMOX Sports Roundtable. It is going to feature Tom Ackerman, Kevin Wheeler, Bernie Miklas, and myself. We recorded it earlier today, a live video stream that we do on Mondays at noon. The 4 of us looking at everything going on in the world of sports, and then we replay the audio portion of it during the 8 o'clock hour this evening. So be tuned in for that. That's going to be coming up in just a few minutes. Again, that gets started after the 8 o'clock news here on KMOX. I want to go through some of the other text messages that we got regarding baseball before we do get out of here. We were talking about Tommy Edman. Again, I'm a little frustrated with the revisionist history out there. That was a good trade the Cardinals pulled off. Everybody thought it was a good trade when it happened. Did the trade completely work out for the Cardinals? Obviously not. They didn't get into the postseason, but they got a legit pitcher, and they got a guy who's under club control at a pretty low number, and they got him for a guy in Tommy Edman who really didn't completely have a defined role on this team, even with what he's been able to do with the Dodgers. Text message from the 256 says about Edman. He's what baseball people used to call a baseball player. I know you know what that means. A player who sees the situation and tries to do what needs to be done at that particular time. The Cardinals seem to have very few of that type of player. In fact, all of baseball seem to have few. I understand, like the old school baseball guy. I think Brendan Donovan is that to a certain extent. I think Mason Wynn is that already. I mean, you look at like the guy's 2-strike approach and the way he plays shortstop. He's still really, really young, but I would put him in that in that category for sure. But I get the yeah. Do you have those like grinders as much in baseball now as you did previously? No. Is Tommy Edman really that grinder kind of guy? I understand what you're saying. We could probably have a longer conversation on that for sure. Another text message, this from the 256. Huge payroll will not buy you a World Series, but let's be honest here. It will almost always buy you enough wins to get in the playoffs. Not always, but almost always. Yeah, I agree with that for the most part. There are the occasional teams that spend lots of money and it doesn't work out. See last year's New York Mets. But like I always try to tell people, one of the things that frustrates me is when something's going on and somebody uses like an extraordinary event as a reason to do something. It was an anomaly. It was an anomaly. We had that conversation about the Blues. last year, 2 years ago. Look at what they did in the Stanley Cup season. They weren't very good, and then they went on this crazy run. Well, you know what? That was kind of a miracle. That's not supposed to happen. When people talk about firing managers in the season, they'll talk about the Philadelphia situation a few years ago where they fire the manager and then they win a World Series. You know what? That stuff doesn't happen very often. So, yeah, I would agree with the texter. More often than not, if you spend gobs and gobs and gobs of money, at the very least, you can be a playoff team. Our KMOX Sports Roundtable, it's on the way next here on KMOX.
Hey, folks, this is Charlie Brennan. Have you noticed loose bricks or missing mortar around your house on the walls, patios, walkways, porch, or